Today, we have a lineup of speakers who will talk about the ongoing situation in Gaza and basically bring to light what's been happening under such inhuman conditions. We have a Palestinian here, Basma, who is not just an eyewitness, but also a great activist and knows firsthand what the suffering of Gazans is and what they have been suffering since the start of this butchery. I call upon Basma to be present here and say a few words. Basma, the stage is yours. I'm sorry we don't have the microphone today, so you'll have to speak a bit louder.
Look at this picture. Look at these children. Imagine these children are your children. What you gonna do? Starving children in our world become a normal. I cannot understand. I cannot stand for living our lives in a normal situation while in Palestine, in other parts of the world, children are being starved to death, starved to death. I cannot imagine carrying your child, going for a shopping, taking care of your children, while a Palestinian mom is not able to feed her child, and her child is dying in front of her because of food. Our children are wishing to die and to go to paradise because in paradise they have food. This is the world that you want your children to live. This is the world that you want your children to enjoy, while a child in Gaza is wishing to die because in paradise they will have food. Shame on every mom, shame on every father who's able to carry his children to his heart or to her heart with keeping silent on the suffering of the moms and the fathers in Palestine. Shame on every mom that she's not able to feel compassionate and to show solidarity with another woman in Palestine and Gaza. 115 people die because of starvation made by a human, made by Israel.
Shame on Israel! Shame on Israel! Shame on IDF!
Shame!
In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. In our thousands, in our millions,
We are all Palestinians.
Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry. We will never let you die. Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry. We will never let you die.
My last word for you, this genocide will stop. Palestinians will be able to continue their life as we did for 76 years so far. But prepare yourself for the question from your children after so many years. Reading and seeing the children of Gaza being starved to death, asking you on your face, what did you do? What did you do? What did you do to stop starving children to death? Prepare yourself to this question. Prepare yourself to this question. Palestinians will ask you, but before Palestinians, your children will ask you, what did you do? What did you do? You kept silent. You felt afraid. You show complicity. Karma will happen. Your children will be judging you. Your children will be judging you on the suffering of Palestinian children in Gaza. We will not forget. We will not forgive. Our children will not forget. Our moms in Gaza will not forget. Will not forget you seeing you going to shopping while they are not able to feed their children. Shame on this world. If you are teacher, academic, whatever kind of stuff, if you are silent, now you will bear the question later on, and everybody will ask you, these children are Palestinians, they are not white, they are not from the West, but they are children, they deserve life, they deserve to be with their parents, they deserve food, water, health care, education, schools, playground. Shame on every one of you who keep silent, complicit, enjoying his or her life, while a mom in Palestine is wishing to die because she is seeing her children dying in front of her, and she's not able to bring a slice of bread, some water, where a child in Gaza, wish to die, wish to go to paradise, because there is no food. And in paradise there is food. In paradise there is food. Shame on everyone who keeps silent on the suffering of our children. We need to stop this. We need to stop this. This is shameful. This is a scar on our humanity. I'm not speaking here as a Palestinian. I am speaking as a human. I cannot stand it. It breaks my conscience, my soul, to see children suffering to the death, and we are not able to do anything to help. It breaks my heart as a human, as a mom, to see a child in the other part of the world wishing to die instead of wishing to live, instead of wishing to be a doctor, to be an engineer, to achieve his dreams, is wishing to die because in paradise we have food. As a Palestinian, I hold you accountable to the suffering of our children. You are watching what we cannot bear and we cannot tolerate. Again, Palestinians will not ask you this question and will not plead for your action. If you do action today, you are doing for your children, because at the end of the day, for so many years to come, you will be asked, you will be judged, you will be held accountable. Why you kept silent? Why you kept complicit? Why you did not do your best to stop this? Every one of you can. They want us to be powerless. We are not. Every one of us has a power, has something to do. We are not powerless. We should do something. Speak to your MP. Send to David Lamy. Speak to your government. Speak to your scholars. Speak to everyone. Boycott. Do whatever you can to stop this. You have the power to stop this, and you are accountable to stop this. Not for the sake of your children, but for the sake of your children, for the sake of Palestinian moms suffering, and dads suffering, and children wishing to die, because in paradise they have justice, and they have food. Enjoy your meal, but while you are enjoying your meal, your alcohol, your drink, your milk, whatever you eat or drink. Remember a child in Gaza telling his mom, I want to go to paradise because I can have bread. Remember, and let this suck in, not now. In the future, our future is dark, very dark. And if we're not gonna make to change it now, will be very dark for our children. If you don't understand this now, you will understand later. If you don't stand for a child in Gaza, no one will stand for his child in future. Our future is very dark, and you need to understand this. You have the power to stop the suffering and the starvation, and you have the power to stand in solidarity, active solidarity with Palestinians. Thank you.
children. This is the despicable situation that is being faced by the Gazans today at the hands of the Zionist entity called Israel, that has absolutely made no secret of its aims, which is, from the mouths of its parliamentarians, from the mouth of its senior members in the government, the complete annihilation and the takeover of Gaza, and the displacement of the indigenous Palestinians who have been there for centuries. If it was upon them, their own ministers have said that they can drown into the sea, or can wander off into the desert, or can simply evaporate. These are verbatim the words that I'm repeating of the people who are in the government of Israel. While children, pregnant mothers, people who have been amputated are queuing up for food, they are being shot at by the IDF forces point blank just because they are humans and they are queuing up for food. And still, absolutely, and still, the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, could come on a podcast in America and say that we are delivering as much food as is required by the Palestinians, and it is Hamas which is stealing away their food. Shame on the liars. This is what sort of blatant lie that
Netanyahu opens his mouth, we know he's lying.
absolutely, absolutely. However, at this moment, we cannot be complacent. We cannot just sit at home and watch while Gaza suffers the worst humanitarian crisis, definitely, since in the 21st century, and probably since people have known. I personally have not seen or heard anything this despicable. We have here Professor Sinan, who would speak a few words, but I think before that, if we can all order up, if we can all line up and march towards the cathedral while clanking our pots and pans and speaking in the loudest of the voices and chanting, so that the people here can understand what we are talking about and how despicable the situation in Gaza is, and come and join us in this march. So we are going to lead the march from here to the cathedral, where Dr. Sinan will speak to us and talk a few words. Is that okay, Dr. Sinan? Yeah? Why don't you lead the charge then? Yeah. Cool. Yeah. And then, yeah, in the meantime, we can all chant. Okay. Free, free! Palestine! 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 From the river to the sea! From the sea to the river! Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! Mother, mother, don't you Israel is a terrorist state. 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 If you are joining us and wondering what we are doing here, we are protesting, raising our voice, raising our voice and fans against the ongoing genocide in Palestine, in Gaza, against the maiming of the children, against the butchering that is going on in Gaza at the hands of Israel, against the starvation that is being perpetrated on the innocent babies and children in Gaza, against the suffering that the children and the mothers and the elders and the men and the women of the Gaza have to face. This is what we are here against, and we'll be coming out again and again until the time this butchery goes on. It doesn't come to a complete stop, and until Palestine is free. Yeah. I'm just going to read you something that caught my eye earlier today on the Middle East Eye, which is a portal that is reporting the horrors that are going in Gaza. And it's just a report which I'll read out to you, and you can fathom for yourself to what level of depravity has the IDF forces and the US mercenaries have come down to, where they are killing children who are lining up for food just because they want to have some fun. Imagine that and feel for yourself how depraved they are. And the report goes as a US mercenary unloaded an entire can of pepper spray into the face of a Palestinian man picking noodles off the ground, and other contractors shot into crowds of starving people trying to collect food in Gaza. A US security contractor told Israeli media. Yeah. Those are just some of the harrowing details that a 25-year-old contractor who recently worked for a security firm guarding distribution sites for the controversial Gaza Humanitarian Foundation shared with Israel's Channel 12 in an interview. The man whose face was blurred and voice distorted to protect his identity said he was a US military veteran who had deployed 12 times to 12 to 14 different war zones, but never saw such violence against unarmed civilians as that by the Israeli soldiers and US mercenaries in Gaza. He says, I've never in my entire military career have been a part of, allowed, or bystander to the use of force against unarmed innocent civilians, ever. And I'm not going to do it now, he said. This is not fixing this. We have to put an end to this. And then the report goes on to say that more than 1,000 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces while trying to access food in Gaza since the US and Israel blockaded Humanitarian Foundation began operations by the United Nations. So it's not just one arm or one agency. It has been called a starvation, a man-made starvation, a genocide by UNRWA a long time back, by UNICEF, by Children's Emergency Relief Fund, by Amnesty International, by Human Rights Watch, by you name it. It's open that it's a genocide that's ongoing, that it's forced starvation. And now it has come to a point where Israel will not allow even a morsel of food or a can of water or even baby formula for those babies who are dying just because of starvation. These pictures that you see, these photos that you see are not made up. These are real pictures of babies who are starving. Some of them have even died now.
There's no coming back.
Absolutely. Right, yeah.
There's no coming back from this. We need action now.
Absolutely. So now, and there are reports that's coming out every day, and there's nothing that can deny it. I now call upon our a very senior member of the community, Dr. Sinan. Dr. Sinan has been the pillar of this community, has been a vocal man who has always come out in the support of Gaza. He has been involved in many local organizations acting for justice, stopping the war, and basically making a community and the world at large a better place. Dr. Sinan, the floor is yours. You'll have to speak up a little. I'm sorry today we don't have the mic with us.
Assalamu alaikum.
Cheer out to Dr. Sinan.
You all have seen the pictures on the TVs, the terrorism that the Israelis are subjecting on the Palestinian people.
Can you speak up, Doctor? Speak up.
What you have been seeing on the TV screens about the murders and the torture by the Israelis on the Palestinian people. This is something that you are seeing that happened even in 1948 and even before that. It's been going on for nearly 80 years, even before the end of the Second World War in 1945. So what happened then? There was no TVs. There were no TVs in the world, so you couldn't see what's happening. They've done exactly the same. They slaughtered children, they slaughtered mothers, pregnant mothers, they slaughtered men, young children, people, and destroyed their homes, and they took it over. So how did this happen? How did this happen? You need a little bit of history about what actually happened. So why here, why in Britain, why the British people? The British people are innocent of what their governments have been doing. Even today, there are there are factories in this country, in this part of the world, in South Kent, where weapons are being manufactured and given or sold to the Israelis, sometimes free of charge, just like what the Americans have been doing. If they had stopped supplying the bombs, the war would have stopped. Yeah. So what is the history of this? It all goes back to the British government, the Balfour Declaration. The British government first offered the Zionist settlement in Uganda, in Africa, but this was rejected. In 1917, the Balfour Declaration laid down the principle recognizing Palestine as the national home of the Jewish people. At this time, Britain was the dominant imperialist power in the Middle East, and it served British interests to support the Zionists as a weapon against the developing Arab liberation movement. The plan had US support. In 1920, the League of Nations, which is really what now is the United Nations, which are doing nothing. They are powerless. They're not doing anything. In 1920, the League of Nations assigned the Palestine mandate to Britain. The first High Commissioner was Sir Herbert Samuel, a well-known Zionist. From this time until 1947, Britain supported Jewish immigration and gave economic support to Jewish settlement, except when Arab resistance forced Britain to put limits on Zionist expansion. In 1919, Balfour said, "In Palestine, we do not propose even to go through the form of consulting the wishes of the present inhabitants. Zionism is far greater import than the desires and prejudices of the 700,000 Arabs who now inhabit that ancient land." A British colonial ruler, the civil governor of Jerusalem, Sir Ronald Storrs, in the 1930s, stated that the British policy in the area was to create a loyal little Jewish Ulster. Long live Palestine.
Long live Palestine! Shame on Israel! Shame on Israel! Shame on Labour! Shame on Lamy! Shame on Starmer! There is only one state, Palestine 48. There is only one state, Palestine 48. There is only one state.
Now, what about the role of the United States? U.S. support for Israel became decisive during and after the Second World War, because before that, Britain was taking the command. Although the role of the U.S. as the major Western imperialist power in the Middle East was not complete until after the British and French fiasco of Suez in 1956. One factor has been the large pro-Zionist Jewish vote within the U.S., which has been especially important at election times, combined with powerful Zionist organizations there. The main factor, however, is safeguarding U.S. interests in the Middle East, and it is this on which U.S. policy is based. At times, support of Israel has temporarily impaired U.S. interests, in oil particularly, and there has been a conflict between support for Israel and good relations with Arab states. However, since 1956, U.S. and Zionist aims have become lost in a policy of supporting reactionary Arab regimes and opposing progressive development.
Absolutely. Sir, as Dr. Sinan is telling us the history of how the Zionist entity called Israel was created at the behest of Britain through Balfour Declaration, and how from day one Israel has survived by perpetrating genocide, by perpetrating mass casualties and injustices upon the native Palestinian population. Absolutely. Yes, sure.
Support by imperialism, as the Zionist movement, is not one of liberation, but a movement based on colonization, dispossession, and expulsion. It has consistently relied on support from the imperialist powers, basically Europe, the governments, not the people. The people have not been taught what has been happening. In 1898, we're talking about the 19th century, Herzl, the founder of Zionism, tried to gain German support, but the Kaiser refused, at that time the king in Germany. In 1901, Herzl was similarly rebuffed by the Turkish Sultan. Herzl collaborated with von Plea, the Tsar's notorious organizer of anti-Jewish pogroms. At times, there have been conflicts between Zionist aims and those of the imperialist powers. However, the main trend has been support for Zionism as, in the words of the US, the only effective challenge to communism in the Middle East, or, in other words, the only challenge to movements which threaten imperialist interests. Long live Palestine!
Long live Palestine! Down with Israel! Down with Israel!
Somebody, would somebody like to? Yeah. if anybody else wants to...
Yeah, of course. Now, I think it's very important, like Dr. Sinan was telling, to have a historical perspective, because the media won't let you know it. The media won't let you know how Theodor Herzl tried dismantling the entire Ottoman Empire just to get to the nefarious aims of the Zionist organization, and how Zionist organizations all over the world have been lobbying countries to further their aims in Israel, and how the entire US Congress, be it Republican, be it Democrat, have been completely bought by the lobbies of that of AIPAC, or even here, Labour Friends of Israel and Labour Friends of Conservatives run amok. So this is quite important to know, because this is something that you won't hear from the mainstream media. It has come down to a point now where the mainstream media, or the media that we call credible media, is having to support the Israeli narrative on the starving of children and on the killing of innocent babies in Gaza. They still won't call it as Israeli perpetrated, an IDF perpetrated, a Zionist perpetrated genocide and butchery. If you read any regular column in New York Times or BBC, it would appear that the Palestinians are just dying on their own, without anybody bombing them, without any bullets being fired on them. We also have here today the Imam of Canterbury Mosque, Imam Issa, and it's an honor to have him with us here. He's someone who not only have a close view of what's going on in Gaza, because his roots hail from that region, but he also continuously reminds us and the Canterbury Muslim community of the need to come out and raise voice for justice and against oppression. Against oppression, no matter who it is, no matter what creed they follow, no matter what color they have, and no matter which region of the world they come from. As long as people are oppressed, Imam Issa have always reminded us to stand with the oppressed and against the oppressors. And it's an honor that we have him with us. I call upon Imam Issa to come here and say a few words to those gathered here.
Palestine!
From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! 1, 2, 3, 4! Occupation no more! 1, 2, 3, 4! Occupation no more! Israel is a terrorist state! Terrorist state! Terrorist state! Terrorist state! Terrorist state!
Thank you for inviting me, boss. I would say a few. Today, we're actually standing for the humanity. I would say a few words that I would share with you. Starving nation is a war crime. Everyone after me, starving nation is a war crime.
It is a war crime, yeah.
And let Gaza eat, end the siege now. Everyone, let Gaza eat.
Let Gaza eat.
Let Gaza eat.
Let Gaza eat.
End the siege now.
End the siege now.
You can't bomb people and starve them and still be civilized.
Yeah.
You can't bomb people and starve them to death and then you be civilized. And thank you again.
Well, he's a man of few words, Eddie, but I think this is what the gist is, that anyone who has an iota of humaneness in him or her that at this time would know that this campaign of the Zionist entity called Israel that's been going on for the last 70 years, and specifically since October 7, 2023, cannot sustain for very long. A time will come, and inshallah it will come very soon, when the chains will be broken, when Gaza will be free, when Palestine will be free, and when Israeli criminals will be taken to account. Until then, that we have to be patient and endure and keep raising our voices for justice and stand with the oppressed and against the oppressors. Dr. Sinan, I'll let you continue, and because Imam Issa was here, so I had to take a break in between. But he'll continue enlightening us about the historical process that has not been told to many of us, and how Israel itself came into being, and what lied behind the shadows and the veils. Dr. Sinan, please continue.
The people who are ruling now in occupied Palestine, the main people in power are the Ashkenazis. The Ashkenazi have nothing to do with Palestine. They came from the East Europe, many of them, even towards the end of the war and even before that. But the crimes that were committed against the Jewish people in Europe was nothing to do with Palestine. And the Zionists are making the Palestinians pay for it. The Ashkenazis, you can tell from their names. For example, the Minister of Finance of the terrorist state of Israel his name is actually Smotrich. Smotrich. You can't tell me that this is a Middle Eastern name. You can try, but it is the lies that they have done are enormous. Netanyahu. That's not his real name. His real name is something that sounded very much like Russian, East European, Polish.
Something like murderer.
Sorry?
Something like murderer.
Something like murderer, indeed. And these people, they came in gangs, terrorist gangs, many of them. The Haganah and other terrorist organizations that started killing the Palestinians and trying to force them to leave the land. At the moment, what's happening in the West Bank, on top of what's happening in Gaza, they are scaring the people, they're occupying more land, attacking the Palestinian villages, burning their cars and homes, trying to make them move away. This is crime again. Gaza, don't forget, there are people who have come from the Palestine proper. They actually were displaced from Palestine proper, where the settlements are there now. And Gaza has been, before this war, has been under siege for 17 years, where there's very limited help and the supplies very limited. And now the supplies completely stopped. They have been stopped for many months. The whole situation of genocide started from the beginning, 2 years ago, on the 7th of October. They bombed everything. They destroyed the water supplies. They destroyed the farms. They destroyed the cities, the electricity generation, the fuel, the United Nations centers for food and all kinds of civilized materials. They also prevented food and milk and anything to do for children. They bombed the mosques, the buildings, the houses, the tower blocks, the churches, and everything that actually was above ground. There's hardly anything still standing in Gaza nowadays. And yet, the world is just watching in silence, Very, very shameful. Now, the great cover-up. The facts speak for themselves. Only a blatant racist can really know the facts about the Middle East and support the state of Israel. Why then has Israel commanded so much support in the West? This support only started to fade after about 1970. The answer is, of course, deception. Deception. They accused Iraq of weapons of mass destruction, which was a lie. Now they admit it was a lie. The weapons of mass destruction, abbreviated WMDs. WMDs. Well, what we find, this is in the West. It is Western media deception. Western media deception.
Absolutely.
The answer is, of course, deception. Zionists have heavily infiltrated Western political parties. Example, the British Labour Party, and prevented them from developing realistic policies. Newspapers have been placed under tremendous pressure to stop the truth leaking out. Several journalists in Britain, example Marion Wolfson, have been forced out of their jobs for stating facts which the Zionists find embarrassing. This manipulation of the press and the Labour Party has been documented by Christopher Mayhew and Michael Adams in their book, Publish It Not, The Middle East Cover-Up, 1975. Much of the support for Zionism came from a desire to somehow compensate Jews for their persecution under the Nazis. This compensation is wrongly channeled. Firstly, it was the Nazis, not the Palestinians, who were the guilty party. Secondly, most of the people compensated were not victims. And thirdly, the compensation we can now clearly see was in reality further persecution of the Jews.
Free, free, Palestine! Free, free,
Palestine! Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
There's a box that you have to Dr. Sinan.
It's all right. Can you go to
It's- The rot runs really very deep, not just within Israel, which in a recent survey, the society itself, and this basically gives a glimpse of Israeli society. 70% of the people of Israel, when asked about what to do with Gaza, either were nonchalant about it or sided with the arguments of genocide. But this rot, and that goes to explain why the powers that they are ruling Israel are at the helm of affairs and can still stand in election and win the votes of the people of Israel. Why people like Smotrich, Netanyahu, Bezalel, Ben Gvir, they can talk openly about cleaning away, rampaging, completely eradicating the entire population of Gaza and still not be held to account. But thus, the rot doesn't just run in the state of Israel. There is something really rotten here in Britain as well. We know that that many of the MPs in Labour have taken donations from the Labour Friends, as Labour Friends of Israel, from Israeli lobbies. And that is, like you said, nothing but bribe. And that goes on to explain why a human rights lawyer like Keir Starmer himself won't call Gaza a genocide. That is a word that has still not come on his lips. And this is something that we all should be ashamed of. And we have to do everything in our power to bring our local MPs, our local councils into account and ask them, force them to cut their ties with Israel in any which form they exist. You can go write to your MPs, write to your local councillor, put your as much pressure, as much lobbying as you can do on your behalf, on the behalf of the Palestinian people, to basically take a stand that's humanitarian, that's humane, and that will directly go in holding the perpetrators to account. At the end, before we wind this up, I just say thank you all for coming out today. It is important that we keep coming out and that we keep coming out more often to wake those up and let more people join. People around in Kent, in Thanet, in Margate, in Folkestone, they are doing a great job in putting pressure on their local council to disinvest in companies that are investing in Israel, to on their pension funds, to disinvest in companies that are providing aid to Israel and having any relation with the ongoing genocide in Gaza. We can do the same here in Canterbury. But for that, you'll have to write to your local councillor, you'll have to lobby it, and we have to work together to ensure that this kind of horror is never perpetrated again in our lifetime or in the lifetime of our children. Thank you.
And Yasir, don't speak about Palestinians in person. Tell who's starving children.
Absolutely.
Be active. Don't tell children are being starved.
No.
Tell who is starving.
Absolutely. This is important.
Thank you, Yasir.
This is important, like Basma said. They are not starving on their own accord. They are not starving because they want to. They are being made to starve. They are being made to starve by Israel, by the Israeli entity, by the Zionist forces, by US, and by Britain itself. Shame on these who are killing children. Shame on those who are bombing Gaza. Shame on those who have absolutely no regard for the sacredness of human life. Stop bombing Gaza! Stop killing children! Stop killing children! Stop killing babies! Stop killing babies! In a thousands, in a millions! We are all Palestinians! We are all Palestinians! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! Palestine will be free! From the sea to the river, Palestine will live forever. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. Israel is us. Israel is us. Israel is us. From the river to the sea. There is only one state. Palestine 48. There is only one state. Palestine 48. There is only one state. Palestine 48.
Please feel free if anyone wants to say a few words, even if it is just 1 or 2 sentences. Please come forward and say so. Before I allow anyone or...
Well, make sure you're loud.
I've been reminded that try to attend the local council meetings. They meet every month. In Canterbury, the meeting was yesterday. So next month there will be council meetings. Try to attend them and raise your voices and ask for what you want about freedom, about Palestine. I'm just going to say a few words, unless anybody else wants to say a few words, or tell me when you are ready. The Israelis have regularly used collective punishment, such as the jailing of relatives of mere suspects and the destruction of their houses or even of the whole street. This repressive policy against occupied Arabs has existed for decades. Now, when we say Arabs, we are talking about Muslims and Christians and others. Like in Syria, you have many different. On the 29th of October 1956, a curfew was imposed on the Palestinian village of Kafr Qasim. However, the village leader was given only 30 minutes to inform the population, who were still mostly in the fields. 47 were shot dead as they returned home for the crime of curfew breaking. The occupied Arabs in both the pre- and post-1967 borders are legally controlled by the defense regulations of 1945. When used against the Zionists by the British, who introduced them, they were likened to Nazi laws. They called the British Nazis when they tried to apply these laws on them, on the Israelis. However, the new Israeli state never repealed them. They're still using the same laws. The regulations allow the army to uproot whole communities, deport them, or transport them from place to place. Look at the way they displaced the Palestinians in Gaza. 10 times, 20 times, from one area called safe area to another safe area where the Israeli army is waiting for them to shoot them. And on the way, as they are walking, the planes and the helicopters and the bombs and the snipers attacking them. The regulations allow the army to shoot whole communities, deport them or transport them from place to place. It could impose indefinite curfews and establish security zones, which we have seen in Gaza. They are insecurity zones for killing people, the killing fields of Gaza. Security zones which no Arab could enter without permission, seize land and destroy or requisition property, enter the search to search any place, imprison a man without trial, or confine him to his home or village. The only means of redress was the futile one of the military court. Needless to say, many of these Zionist crimes flout international law, the Geneva Convention, and so on. People who are taken to prison, they face all kinds of torture, sometimes torture to death. Sometimes they come out completely destroyed, and bodily, mentally, and so on. Now the Jewish, if anybody wants to say a few words, you are welcome.
You might like to remind people that the Israelis killed 98 British soldiers in King David Hotel in 1940, and they killed 300 American sailors in 1967 US Liberty.
Should we just make a big round of noise before we discuss?
Just this one. Now, when the terrorist gangs of Zionism first started doing actions against the British, who are in command, in charge at that time, one of the terrorist organizations led by Menachem Begin, one of the prime ministers, who later on came and visited Britain, met by Her Majesty the Queen with a red carpet reception. They bombed the King David Hotel, which was the center government for the British government in Palestine. And they killed, how many?
98.
They killed 98 British service people who are doing, actually civilian, British people running the government. Also the terrorist gangs of Zionism, they captured some British officers, and but instead of putting them in prison or releasing them to the government, they actually hanged them. And because of that, the British government, they put Menachem Begin was wanted, dead or alive. Later on, he came as prime minister visiting Britain.
Shame.
And also the Ashkenazis came from the Eastern Europe. These people became Zionists. They have nothing. They have no origin with Jacob or Abraham. Their DNA is nothing to do with the Middle East. They changed into Judaism in the 5th century. That's 4,000 and something, and that's it. So nothing to do with Palestine. They have no right to be there. They could go back to wherever it is, Palestine, Kazakhstan, or the Khazar, these Khazar people who changed into Judaism. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Sinan. Thank you. 3 cheers for Dr. Sinan for explaining. The brevity in which they have gone to create the Israeli state. And one such example, as he said, was not just the bombing of the King David Hotel, but the bombing of the Jews in Iraq, who flatly refused to go to Israel. And when the Jews, who were indigenous and more comfortable in Iraq, flatly refused to get the Israeli citizenship, the IDF went and bombed those Jewish colonies in Iraq because they would not comply with the demands of Israel. And that's just one of the horrific stories that the state of Israel has gone to create itself. In the end, before we leave, I'd like you to make as much noise as possible, clatter your pots and pans, shout at your lauders, so that everyone can hear that we'll keep coming out here in this town, over here in Kent, and do that is in our power to bring about justice to Palestine and bring Israel to justice, bring the Israeli criminals to justice, and we won't rest till that has happened. Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Palestine will be free! Palestine will live forever! From the plain to the river! Palestine will live forever! From the sea to the river! Please join Canterbury for Palestine. If you haven't joined us, give us your phone number. We'll include you on our group, and we'll keep posting you of the events that we keep organizing here. In the meantime, go back safely into your homes, but remember to keep Palestinians in your heartfelt prayers, and also keep continuously raising your voice for justice, for peace, and for a better world. Thank you, everyone.